I'm Josh Farley, president of Redline Electric and Solar. Join me as we talk to contractors, business owners, and experts who are willing to share their experiences to help you overcome obstacles when you're taking your business up and to the right. Good morning, we're with Ryan Naylor. He's the CEO of Blue Aspen Marketing. Ryan, thanks for being here.
Hey, it's a pleasure.
Tell us what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, so we're a digital marketing agency, and we work with service-based businesses. So a lot of anything from accounting to doctors, dentists, and then contractors is a big part of that. A lot of service-based businesses.
Gotcha. How'd you get your start? When did you start your company, and what pushed you to do it?
Yeah, so kind of an interesting entrepreneurial journey. I graduated from college with an entrepreneurship degree in 2008. And as you recall, the economy was not too strong and stable in 2008. And so my chances of getting a job were pretty slim. So I realized the only thing I could do was really start my own company. And I started in 2008 just as kind of a force of the economy to go out there and do it.
Gotcha. I started mine in early 2009, and there really wasn't any place but to go up.
That's right.
So looking back at when you first started, what were some of the struggles that you had, and how'd you overcome them?
You know, it's funny to think about now, but when I started in 2008, when I was meeting with contractors, and I was trying to sell them on whether or not they should get a website or keep paying for their Yellow Pages ad.
Right.
That was a major obstacle that I had, and it was difficult to overcome. And I tried and say, hey, this is a really cool social media thing called Twitter. And they're like, I've never heard of it. That'll probably die tomorrow. You know, Facebook ads. And it was really challenging just to get them out of print advertising and think of it from a digital real estate standpoint and how they could start to own that back kind of when things were growing.
Gotcha. Well, I think contractors have a hard time getting out of their trade and looking at their business and focusing on what's the next change that are coming. So contractors always have a problem staying on top of their business rather than the actual work they're doing. So what do you do now? Are you still working with contractors?
Yeah, we work with a lot of contractors. You know, a lot of times contractors get a little bit too broad. My job was we become their outside marketing department. So they bring us in and say, rather than us hiring one marketing employee, let's bring in Ryan's team, and we'll have kind of position players in their organization to help guide us.
Right.
So our biggest thing is stay within your lane. So we want to help contractors. If they're specifically a roofing contractor, we want to make sure that they know the exact types of roofs that they do, and they find the margins and the most profitable services, and they stick to it. Because as entrepreneurs, our commonality is we say yes to everything. If somebody's got a check in front of us, we'll probably say yes and be like, well, we'll figure out how to do it. But it's not the best use of time. Their efficiency ratios go down. And so as a marketing team, we try to find where they're the most profitable, where they're going to be able to grow the most, and then we market to it. So we find the services, and then we find the buyer demographic that fits it.
How do you find the buyers? Like, because that's the $1 million question. How do you find the customer?
Yeah. Well, I think you have to do the research, and sometimes that's the part business owners don't want to do. You've got to be willing to pick up the phone and call maybe your last 10 clients and start asking them 5 to 7 questions about how they heard about you, when they decided to do the project you did for them, what was their process like? Did they go to Facebook and ask for referrals from a friend? Did they go and look in the Yellow Pages, and maybe you'll be surprised because you're still paying for an ad. Maybe it did lead to a sale, but most likely it didn't. And so you try to figure out. So my biggest thing is roll up your sleeves and start asking the questions. Go find your existing base on their decision-making process, and you'd be surprised at how willing people are when you humbly approach them and say, hey, I hope you appreciated the work we did. We're humbly coming to you saying we're ready to expand and grow. Can you help us answer some industry insight questions so that we can do it?
And that's something that your firm and other marketing companies will do.
That's right.
Now, you said that sometimes they hire you as an outsource rather than bring somebody in. What if I was to hire a marketing guy? Is that something you could help us internalize as far as help guide my marketing team?
Exactly. So sometimes teams have a marketing person, but they want to extend the bandwidth of that person. Or maybe that person has a very specific skill set, and we want to make sure that skill set gets elevated to grow as much as possible.
Because I would say for me as a contractor, marketing doesn't come second nature. So, when we hired our marketing assistant, it was a new position. And for me, that's tough because as an electrician, who's just trying to become a business owner, over the last few years, if I don't have experience in that specific position,
Yeah.
how do I hold an employee accountable? How do I know if what he's doing is good?
Mm-hmm.
How do I give him the tools he needs to succeed? So let's just take me for instance. I hired a marketing assistant, and he's doing we brought our Facebook, our social media, that sort of thing in house. So now he does that. He goes to the job, he takes some footages. We're starting to create a brand that we like. We're starting to portray our image versus outsourcing it to somebody that was just guessing
Correct.
what they want to post. But how do I take him to the next level when I don't know what the next level is?
Well, that goes with your strategic goals. So every company should have your annual and quarterly strategic goals, and everything that marketing rep does should align with where your goals are. So a lot of times as an agency, we think of ourselves as the chief marketing officer for that organization. So we sit down with the CEO and have high-level discussions, and then we help build the strategy around the marketing to deliver those goals. And then we'll help hold that marketing employee accountable and say, hey, here's some things that you're going to do. And when you can't do it, our team's here to support that bandwidth to give you more resources so you can accomplish your goals.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's talk marketing versus advertisement. Are they the same? I hear it all the time. Marketing's not advertisement, and advertising's not marketing. What's the difference?
So for us, marketing is the direction, it's the branding and communication and style to drive your business. Advertising is actually the medium in which you're doing to acquire new customers. So your TV ads, your billboard ads, or your digital ads you're advertising in those mediums to drive your marketing goals. So marketing is the branding, the storytelling, and the messaging.
Got it. And you do both of those?
Yes.
Okay, so that's also another thing for contractors, especially just starting out. There's no budget.
Yeah.
Like we don't have a budget.
Yep.
It's our budget consists of, hey, we got ROC stickers on our truck, maybe a logo, a hat. That's it. What's a realistic budget, or not even that? Does it work? Like when I've been approached countless times by marketing saying, hey, I'm going to do some pay-per-click or SEO, which who knows exactly what SEO does? I've heard anywhere from it's going to take you from this and cost $500 to tens of thousands of dollars to stay relevant. Does it work?
It does. It's an investment, but if it's done the right way and approached the right way, it can last quite some time. So my biggest feedback is when I was even starting out I can speak from experience here. When I was starting out as an agency, I didn't know anyone. I had a zero budget. I didn't even have my own website, yet I was trying to sell websites to people. And so what I did is I worked with the local library system, and there were 6 libraries, and I got to know the directors at each of them, and I did classes. So at nights I would go in and I would teach free classes on how to start your digital marketing as your organization. And I would go out and I would cold call these contractors and say, hey, we're having a free class. These are the types of classes that we're doing. This is our schedule. We'd love to have you come and just learn. There's no sales pitch. It's 100% free. By doing that, by using education, it established trust.
Right.
That trust led to more business. And I think the biggest thing for someone with no money is figure out how can I get into the marketplace and establish a level of trust.
Gotcha.
Can I volunteer at a nonprofit? There's so many opportunities in communities to support a local church, charities, nonprofits. Get involved, go commit to it, and you'd be amazed at the relationships and the level of trust you can establish in a community to start building those referrals.
Got it. Have you seen, how many times have you seen a marketing campaign or an advertising campaign fail?
Does the sun come up tomorrow? I mean, it's going to fail.
Right.
It always does. Marketing campaigns will win when you're testing, you're iterating, and testing more. So a lot of times we'll build a Facebook ad because it seems simple. The best thing for Facebook stock was when they added the boost button to posts, because people did it blindly and they said, that sounds great, I'm going to boost it and I'm going to spend $100. But they didn't really know, or they weren't testing to look at the efficiencies of it.
Gotcha.
The best thing in marketing is to always test. You got to measure it and then test again. And while you're iterating and testing against different versions, you're going to find more success along the way.
Sounds complicated. So, in your experience, what's something a contractor can do that's relatively easy, maybe just to get his foot wet?
Probably the biggest thing is tracking.
Okay.
You got to create a mechanism where things can be tracked. The most popular way that I've come across our contractors and service professionals is they create flyers. That seems to be the default. I'm going to go do flyers and leave them in a neighborhood. Well, what are they doing to actually measure the phone calls from it? So we use a tool called CallRail. There's a number of them, but where it assigns a specific phone number to that campaign. So each maybe neighborhood, I'm going to put a different phone number on top of that flyer. So I can start measuring something as simple as a door hanger or cards that I leave in a neighborhood. I know exactly which campaign it was, which neighborhood it was, maybe which flyering rep was the one dropping it off.
Right.
And now I can say that $500 to print all those door hangers, it seems cheap, but if we never get any calls from it, it's pretty expensive.
So you just get a different phone number, and the call rail, the software tracks it for
Track
you.
it for you.
Is there a cost involved in that?
Yeah, there's a number of them. There's some that start as low as like $20 a month, and they'll give you 4 or 5 different
Gotcha.
tracking phone numbers. It'll all forward to your main line or your cell phone, but at least you can go back into the software and do reporting on it.
Is that something that you guys do as well?
Yeah.
So you integrate that software into your offering.
So we integrate it so that they have kind of traditional print media phone numbers, and then we'll segment it and have a series of phone numbers for their online ads as well. So
Gotcha.
Facebook's going to have a different phone number, different campaigns, we have different phone numbers. So at the end of the month, we can now start reporting on that. We measure it, we iterate, and then we go again.
Gotcha. That's something I need to do for my business for sure. And I know a lot of you guys out there have probably never even thought about it. But for me, one of the questions, how do you get new customers? How do you get new customers?
Yeah, so we get out there and we find who our target persona is. We know exactly what the conversation in their head looks like. For us, we know it's small-based businesses, service-based professionals. They're asking the question, how do I get more customers? Just like you asked
Right.
me. So we build ad campaigns in Facebook and we say the top 10 ways to get new customers for contractors.
Gotcha.
And we know the conversation in their head, we know their pain point, and we label it right in front of their face on a Facebook ad. Then we have landing pages that talk to those specific pain points with call to actions around solving those.
Gotcha. No, I'm excited. I definitely want to try some of that stuff and do some testing, and we need some guidance as well. So that's great to know that there are companies out there like you, like Blue Aspen, that can help guys like me who are just starting out with a marketing, job title or job position.
Yeah.
What do you think's on the horizon as far as what do you think the next big medium? How do you stay on top of your industry? Like, what's coming?
Yeah, I think, AI is always, that's the conversation, is artificial intelligence, and what does that really mean? For the construction world, I think it's going to be more predictive like Google searches. So a lot of times, right now when you do a Google search, you're going to type in maybe a pool cleaner near me. Well, Google interprets that and knows exactly where your cell phone device is, exactly who the pool cleaners are is closest to you. Well, if you didn't do a good enough job on your website identifying your specific location of your business, you're not going to get found. Maybe
Right.
you're too broad. We're sitting in Phoenix right now, but there are probably 15 micro cities around the metropolitan area of Phoenix. If you're in Dallas, there's literally dozens and dozens of isolated little municipalities in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So you want to build targeted campaigns so when people search contractor near me, or the AI can interpret that your business is going to be the best fit for them based on geo proximity. So I think that's a big thing that contractors miss out on because we service this metropolitan area as a whole, and by doing too broad, we're missing out on everything. So we want to niche to get rich. We want to be very specific on our product and service type and our geographic
Sorry,
location.
that was the entrepreneurism.
That's
Niche
right.
to get rich. I used to go network and, try to meet people and try to develop more customers for myself. And I would get up and I'd talk to people and I'd shake their hand and they'd ask me what I do. I go, I do everything electrical. But that didn't help them. That didn't help me, because you got to tell them
Absolutely.
exactly what you do. We do commercial service work. We do residential solar for home builders, that sort of thing. You got to want, and that's what it is. I do it myself, so why wouldn't I do it online? Do you think there's going to be a new advertising medium, maybe something to replace Facebook or Twitter, or what's the next Instagram? Where are the ads at right now? Like,
Yeah,
what's the hot spot?
those social media platforms are really driving the ad budget for every major media outlet. I think that's probably we're going to see a trend even for the next 5 years, because as these tech companies start coming up and disrupting, they're getting acquired faster than they can really grow.
Right.
So I'd pay attention to what Google's doing on a regular basis. See what kind of advertising products they're going to develop and let you advertise with. I will say the best success we've had year over year for our clients has been in the Google Maps and Google local ads. So specifically understanding that there's probably more searches on the Google Maps app than even Yahoo and Bing combined.
Right.
So what are you doing to advertise in Google Maps? And I think that's where a lot of campaigns should be, because that's a pain point. If they need an electrician right now because it's an emergency, you do whatever it takes to be in front of them in the moment.
I see that myself. I go to the map before I go to the Google bar on my mobile, on my cell phone, but I don't even notice which one's an ad versus I don't even pay attention to that. So maybe now I'm gonna have to start looking at it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your business. Thinking back when you first started, what are some things that you may have done differently?
Well, I think going back to the conversation in your client's head, I thought I knew what my clients wanted, but I didn't take the time to validate it. And so I operated my business probably for 2 or 3 years on the assumption that everyone knew what SEO was and the value of it. And so I was advertising, hey, we're an SEO agency, we'll help you grow your business. But my clients, that wasn't their pain point, was SEO. Their pain point was they wanted more clients. And so I should have advertised myself around the conversation of how do I advertise? How do I get more clients? And SEO just happened to be a product or a service we offered to help them grow. And I think that's a lot of times is we have our products, we have our services, and we assume our clients are looking for it. But that might not be the pain point that's actually in their head in the moment. That was a big challenge that we had to overcome. And by doing that, by recognizing that, we've been able to increase our referrals because of our focus. But our cost per acquisition for a new client dramatically goes down because we're so focused.
Gotcha. I went out of town for solar training one year, 6-7 years ago, and I had an autoresponder on my email that said, "Hey, I'm out of town for solar training." I got such a response back from the community, from my customers saying, "You do solar?" And that was before, when we were just Redline Electric.
Yeah.
So it was such an outcry of, I didn't know you guys did that, and it was an aha moment for me, saying, how did I not communicate this? And then we ended up adding it to the namesake, Redline Electric and Solar. But it opened my eyes to actually see how much I wasn't able to communicate what our product offerings were.
Yeah.
So let's talk about SEO. I mean, what is it, and what is it?
So it's real estate. And they always say in business, location, location, location. Like, you want to have that corner-based brick and mortar because that's where everyone's driving through. Well, that's the same way with online ads. So SEO is that process. It's actually the process of getting you as high as possible in the search engine results, whether that be Bing, Yahoo, and then kind of the gorilla of the industry would be Google. So when people search solar contractor in Phoenix, you want to be the top position. Maybe you even want to be position 2 and 3, because that real estate of the top 3 is going to get close to 80% of all the click-throughs.
Can you get 1, 2, and 3?
You can. Yeah. So a lot of times you're going to want to get your website very focused and optimized for your target service and the location and where you're servicing. The other would be build landing pages around that product or service, and you'd be surprised how many times you'll see a home page and a sub page rank right behind it, because those are the 2 most relevant pages for the service offering that person is looking for. But then there's other third-party sources as well. There's third-party blogs, press releases, that when the subject line or the title of a press release matches the exact phrase, you might start getting support article pieces on the first page of Google, but it's all talking about your business.
How much does content affect SEO?
That's the number one driver right now. We've seen websites where we've done case studies where we've literally built a landing page with 4,000 words on it. Most contractors build landing pages with 150 to 200 words.
We do it all.
That's right. You have a problem, call us.
Yep.
But what we'll do is we'll build a landing page with close to 4,000 words. We'll have an FAQ section, we'll have video section, we'll have an image gallery section, all targeted around a very focused phrase. We can push that page live. It's a brand new page, and it can be ranked in the top 3 overnight.
Wow, that's crazy. See, all that stuff, I just don't understand it. That's why we lean on experts like you. Let's see. So what keeps you up at night as a business owner? What keeps you up at night?
You know, the economy in the past, just because I started the business in the recession, you're always fearful of people's perceptions and if they should spend money or not spend money. And I've seen those pains keep me up at night less often as they did. My biggest fear is probably relevancy, is we have to be in tune with what the changes are from Google or for AI. A lot of times they can make an adjustment overnight and it can completely throw off the organic results for our clients, for the good or the worse.
Right.
You know, it could change it either way. That's probably the biggest thing. Measuring has always been something we want to make sure our clients do on a regular basis, because as these market adjustments happen, we need to be able to measure the impact of it.
Well, we like to measure, key performance indicators, KPIs, in our business versus, for the technicians' arrivals, the work that he did, the profit that we're making. We like to measure everything, all of our KPIs in our business, and we have algorithms in our software that do that for us. And I imagine that's what you guys have as well. So, do you advertise for yourself? Do you do that? I mean, and then I'm not going to ask you to tell me a budget, but I hear people saying advertising should be 10% of your total. Like, what's the budget? What's a good budget for advertising?
The 10% I've heard as well. That seems to be a rule of thumb, and I think that's totally fine. But you got to know where your margins are. If you're a contractor where your average ticket price is $20,000 and you're making a 30% profit margin on that, you probably have a little bit more give to advertise a little bit more so you can get those bigger ticketed items. But if you're one of those contractors that's lower margin but you're doing high volume of them, you've got to pay really strong attention or else you're going to be doing a lot of work at a loss.
Right, and you got to make sure that you're getting your payback.
That's right. So for us right now, we kind of went back to our roots. We started with education to establish trust in the community, and that's where we invest. So rather, we'll spend about $1,000 or $2,000 a month in some ad strategy using the Google Maps ads. We do that for ourselves. But we invest a lot into lunch and learns, get active with trade groups, really make ourselves known into the community, and that's paid dividends for us.
Lunch and learns like the library.
Yes. We'll go rent out. Learning facilities. We'll bring in a food truck or someone cater it, and we'll teach them for 90 minutes. Information they otherwise would have paid us to do.
Sign me up. I'm
but
there.
We'll just do it for free. Yeah,
Right.
It gets a lot of people in, and we want to educate them so when they leave, they felt like they really took advantage of something.
Well, and that's good advice too, because as a contractor, you want to make sure your customers think you're the expert in your field, because then they're going to feel more comfortable. And if you're giving away knowledge and you're making them feel comfortable, it's going to help in the long run. You ever think about quitting? You ever think about selling?
I don't know who doesn't. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, it crosses your mind.
Right.
Go
ahead.
It's come across.
If you didn't do this, what would you do?
So my big thing, I want to be a consultant. That's when
Right.
I grow up, I want to be a consultant. And but that's essentially what I get to do on a daily basis with this.
That's awesome.
Is I get to work with entrepreneurs, CEOs, and consult with them. But I'm just very focused on the marketing side. But I love helping businesses grow.
So contractors, they work with their hands. Some of them don't even know how to use a mobile app. I've got friends that drive around in trucks that don't have their name. They don't have a website. Like, what's the easiest way to get online?
There's a lot of offerings from these template builders. You could use kind of a GoDaddy template builder after you bought your domain name to Wix. There's a number of these different website builders. My biggest problem is you got to understand why you're doing it. A lot of times, as consumers, we all judge a book by its cover.
Right.
We're told not to, but we all do. The first thing you do when you learn about something is you Google it, and you try to get a representation of it. It could actually be a major detriment to your organization if you do a terrible job at building a website. Because the last thing you want to do is maybe you do go into a library and do an educational class, and then people start looking you up, and they get to your website and like, man, this was put together by an 8th grader for some little junior high project. Their perception of the quality of work that you deliver is going to be around that. And so my big thing is if you're going to get into a website, be willing to invest into it. Find a designer, find someone to custom code it. Don't just use these free modules, just kind of throw it up halfway and just expect it to be good, because your clientele you want them to pay a premium, but when they see you online, they're going to see crappy experience. So you need to be able to drive a premium at every touch point of the buyer's journey.
No, that's great, because first impressions are everything. So our viewers out there are watching at home. Do you have any offers for them?
You know, we do. We do a free audit for any business. It's kind of our way to give back. So we'll actually do an in-depth SEO analysis, where you currently rank, what your competitors are ranking for, and where the gaps are or opportunities for your business to kind of scale into. And we'll do a free crawl and evaluation of your website to make sure that Google's crawling it on a regular basis, and really understand what a conversion report looks like.
Gotcha.
So when people come to your website, what's the likelihood they're going to convert into a lead?
Got it. There you have it. Free. It doesn't get any better than that. Ryan, thanks for coming in.
bet.
I learned a whole hell of a lot, and I appreciate it.
You bet. My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing here, subscribe to our podcast at iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to see more episodes. Go to upandtothe right.org to get all the links.